All right, you guys, well, today I have for you this 2019 Nissan Rogue. Take you around the car here. Did already show you guys one of these like a while back, but I figured this is a pretty popular car and I could do a little bit more of an in-depth review on it. It is an SL trim, so it's got some really nice features in it, especially for like a Nissan Rogue. These are pretty basic SUVs in the lower trims, but I am actually quite impressed with what this SL model comes with. It's actually not a bad looking compact SUV. A lot of these compact SUVs can be a little bit plain to me, a little bit soulless, but I actually like the styling of this one. It's got a very expressive front end to it. I like these roof racks. It doesn't really look like awkward or weird to me. It looks pretty sharp and pretty good. But we'll pop the hood, show you the engine really quick. All right, so this is the 2.5 liter 4-cylinder. Makes 170 horsepower, 175 pound-feet of torque. It is paired to a CVT. Not the fastest, not the most impressive engine in terms of horsepower, but we'll talk about more about that when we get this thing out on the road. You do have HID headlights in this SL trim by Xenon, pretty nice. We'll pop the trunk. It does have a power tailgate. Also in this SL trim, I don't believe the lower trims have a power tailgate. So we'll check out this cargo area. And it is pretty spacious. You're not going to get like a minivan level storage back here, but it is pretty good. As you can see, you do have like an adjustable kind of floor right here. You can put these either lower or up on this level, and you do have a spare tire underneath there. Pretty nice to have. It doesn't look like there's any controls on the sides here to fold the seats down. You can kind of reach in here to fold them down this way. But it's, as you can see, not the easiest. Probably better to just go around and fold them down individually. But we'll close up this trunk right here. And it is one of the slower closing trunks in my opinion, but about normal, like not too bad. We'll check out this back seat right here as soon as I get it adjusted. All right. And it is pretty nice back here. Not like extremely roomy, but I do like these leather seats that you get. They feel pretty nice, pretty high quality. You kind of sit a little bit elevated compared to the front seats, so you got like pretty good visibility back here. It's not going to be like a Buick LaCrosse back here, but it's pretty good. I can't really complain. Nice materials in this SL trim, definitely better than some of the lower trims. But I'll hop into the front here and we'll start it up. All right, and this is a fairly nice place to be. I do like this screen right here. They kind of updated this, I believe, in 2018. You mainly control it with these buttons on the side, which a lot of people seem to prefer. It has a navigation system, which actually looks pretty good. As you can see, it responds really quickly. Pretty impressive, to be honest. You can go to your audio information. Doesn't have like a ton of stuff. Like it's not one of those like crazy BMW infotainment systems where you can like check the news and stuff like that. You just get your basic information, but it looks pretty good. It's all pretty responsive and easy to use. You do got your climate controls down here, very self-explanatory, easy to figure out. You do get an electronic parking brake and an auto brake hold feature for stop and go traffic. You do got your shifter for the CVT. We'll put it in reverse, and you do get a pretty nice backup camera as well as a top down camera. It's a little bit small in terms of the backup camera, but gets the job done, not bad at all. You do get heated seats to level, and on the steering wheel, you do get a little self-driving assist right here. It has like self-steering, adaptive cruise, that sort of thing. You also get a heated steering wheel, and you can lock the car in all-wheel drive if you want. You do get a sport mode, which is pretty interesting. Might try that later. And also an eco mode. You also get a panoramic sunroof, which is pretty nice. I would not expect to see this in a Nissan Rogue, but yeah, it's pretty nice. Lets a lot of nice light in here. Opens right up, as you can see. See how far back. It doesn't really, the actual sunroof doesn't really open super far, but still nice to have that panoramic feature. You do have a center console, and it's pretty big, as you can see, really not too bad. And glove box is a good size as well. Some of the materials in here are a little cheap feeling, just slightly. You don't get in this and feel like you're in like a Lexus or something. It doesn't have like some crazy level attention to detail in here. You also get a Bose stereo. It sounds pretty good in here, about average. It's not like a super high quality sound system, but it's pretty good, not bad. But we will get this thing out on the road here and talk about how it drives. First thing you notice driving this car, I said this in my previous review also, is the steering is super light. Definitely has a very light feel to the steering. So it's not the sportiest like steering feel, I'll say. Another thing you notice about this car is it doesn't have much in terms of power. Really not much like get up and go from this car. I talked about the styling, how it looks pretty like sharp and expressive on the outside. But when you actually drive this car, it feels pretty slow, I'm not gonna lie. You don't really notice it in like normal suburban kind of driving like this, like we're doing now. Around town and just normal driving, the power feels pretty adequate, pretty normal. But when you get on the highway, it feels pretty slow when you're at higher speeds, when you're trying to merge or, you know, trying to make a pass or something. You really have to like plant your foot down. Engine makes a lot of noise. You can hear that. It sounds kind of angry a little bit. It does have a little bit of like get up and go, like right at the beginning when you first step on it. It does kind of like get up and move. But then after that, you kind of notice it feels pretty lackluster. The CVT is a little bit weird. It seems to want to behave like a traditional automatic. It has simulated shifts sometimes, but then other times it can just feel a little bit laggy, a little bit like rubber bandy. Yeah, the CVT, I think it could be a little bit better. First initially accelerating, it's actually not too bad. But it does definitely sound a little weird. It kind of drones a lot. A little bit unresponsive if you go to need more power or something. The visibility in here is decent. You get a pretty big tall windshield. It's pretty easy to see the road in front of you. These pillars are a little bit big, I think, but not too bad, not a huge deal. Maybe could just be a little bit smaller though. Very big side mirrors. This back window, I noticed the rear belt line out of the back window is pretty high up. A little bit high up compared to other SUVs I've driven. Things can get a little bit obstructed back there, but overall it's not too bad. It's still easy to see out of this car. Easy to drive, really. this accelerator pedal is kind of strange. It's very responsive right at the beginning, I notice. Like if you're taking off from a dead stop, really just a light tap and it gets moving really quickly. But then once you're up and moving and maybe you want a little more power, it starts to feel like you really have to like stand on it at that point. A little bit unpredictable in the accelerator. Not the biggest fan of it. I could easily live with it, but there are definitely other cars that feel a little more predictable and a little more linear in terms of the response. The brakes are pretty good. The brake pedal is a little bit soft for my liking, but the brakes respond decently well. They're pretty easy to modulate and control, so not bad with the brakes. Just not really like a sporty feel. Kind of expect that though. I do notice those back seats do kind of shake when you go over bumps. Like I can kind of see it like in my rearview mirror every now and then. And that is a common problem with these Nissan Rogues that I've noticed. I've driven a few of these in the past as like rental cars and stuff, and they all seem to have that like seat shaking problem. But you know, once you're just cruising on the road normally, it's a pretty relaxing car to drive. Not much thinking involved. You know, like I said, points nice and straight, pretty quiet, smooth ride. Easy going for the most part. We will try out this little corner right here. And one thing I've noticed about this car is the actual cornering isn't bad. It seems to go around corners pretty well. Chassis feels nice and controlled. It's just like really just like the steering is very light. Steering doesn't really communicate much. Like I said, it feels a little vague on center. Don't really feel much from it. So while the actual car itself corners well, it's just like the driver inputs aren't very communicative from what I've noticed. Check out our turning radius in this neighborhood right here. You can zip around a little bit in this car. It has kind of like a dual persona where it does feel a little bit softly sprung, but you can definitely like chuck it around a little bit. And I noticed this turning radius is really good. Just driving this around, it's pretty impressive. Like really not a bad turning radius in this car. But we'll get back out on the road here. Hopefully traffic like cleared up a little bit. Engine definitely sounds a little grainy, but we'll try this corner. And yeah, you know, it's actually not bad. I just wish the steering was a little bit better through the corner. If it was just like a slightly firmer steering, like this car would probably feel a little bit better to drive. Rides pretty well going over these rough patches right here. Corners like a normal car, really. Like, yeah, it's not too bad where that's concerned. It's not a sports car, obviously, but it can go around corners pretty well. It feels like a nice light SUV. Like, it actually feels pretty light on the road. I know some SUVs can feel like really heavy and really like lumbering, but this one actually has like kind of like an economy car feel, like that sort of like light, scrappy kind of feel to it. You do definitely have to rev it though to get around, I notice. Going up hills, pulling out into traffic, you do definitely have to rev it pretty good. Alright, try taking it on the highway here. Alright, CVT has some like simulated shifts there. Not very fast though, as you could see with that. That I felt like basically like nothing was happening when I did that. Looks like this highway is pretty crowded and bunched up today. I might just take this exit here and go back the other way. Try like kind of a more normal acceleration. This is like pretty much what you have to do to get up to highway speeds quickly. Like, you just really have to really step on it. So I'm not too crazy about that. They definitely kind of missed the mark for me in terms of the performance and power delivery. Like, I get it's not a sports car, but I mean, you really, really do have to like get on it sometimes. If these cars clear up the fast lane, we'll try making a little pass right here. Let's try that now. Yeah, my foot is like pretty much 70% into the throttle. And you know, it does it eventually. It just takes some time. When you're not like trying to floor it and stuff and drive really fast, it is pretty manageable on the highway. And you know, it can handle speed pretty well. Like, it points nice and straight, feels pretty manageable at speed. Literally just the only weak point on the highway is just the engine and the performance. But as you can see, it handles corners on the freeway like without much issue. But if you want to pass someone, you better hope they're not one of those people who speeds up when you try to speed up, because you'll probably lose. But it's pretty quiet on the highway here. There is a little bit of wind noise, but definitely a little quieter than some other SUVs I've been in. Even more expensive ones than this. But yeah, as you can see, like, just trying to pass here, I'm crossing over like 4,000 RPM. Alright, I think I'll end the video in here. You know, once you get used to this car, driving it around, it actually feels pretty zippy. Just the engine performance is pretty lackluster, not really gonna lie. It's adequate around town, definitely a little bit sluggish in some situations. Yeah, so engine I'm not crazy about. It does make a lot of noise. It sounds kind of weird, kind of angry, like aggressive. I'm not crazy about that. The steering is a little bit light, but you know, the car feels pretty controllable for the most part. Pretty quiet, pretty smooth ride. Definitely some things I like about it. I respect it as just an ordinary commuter car with good gas mileage, but not like a performance car, not something you buy to have crazy thrill in. But it is nice and zippy around town, so I'll give it that. But we'll shut the engine off and we'll hop out. All right. Thanks for watching, everyone.